I had to wear my Draco shirt today because I just finished last night Secrets and Masks by Emerald Slytherin. I'll be talking about it in my wrap up, obviously, at the end of the month. But guys, I'm literally not even exaggerating when I'm saying that I cried for the entire last like 3.5 hours of that fic. It is almost 1,900 pages. It literally took me 2 months to read because I was reading other books at the same time. So I was like reading other things off and on at the same time. But even like today, I've just been in like a state of despair. Like I genuinely don't even know what to do with myself. And I can't wait to talk about it in my wrap ups. But I just had to let you guys know that I'm truly grieving today. Stick with me here. But we do have a fun video today that I'm really excited for. So I got asked in my last, a question for my last Chat, Chill, and Get Ready With Me that I didn't have a chance to answer in that one. So I'll add it to September's that I think I'm gonna be filming next week. But anyways, it was, would I ever do like a reading vlog of reading books that you guys like choose or recommend to me? And so then I was kind of like, I wonder what books people would recommend to me. I don't really know about doing an entire vlog dedicated to it. I just like don't love vlogs in general. I don't think I'm very good at them either, so I think that's part of it. But yeah, we will see, I guess. But I was curious, I'm like, what books would you guys recommend to me? So I asked on my Instagram stories last week what would be some books that y'all would recommend for me to read, and you guys came through with a nice list. There are some on here that I have already read, so I'll just like briefly mention those when I get to them, but we have quite a few, and let's go ahead and jump in here. So let's see. So some of these I'm going to look up. I haven't like looked them up before I did this video because I really wanted it to just be like in the moment reacting to it. So the first one that I got was To Be Alone With You by Jodie Slaughter. So I have never heard of this book before. Oh, it's a novella. Ooh, this sounds good. Have any of my friends read it? Can I see like if any of them have? Oh, I do have some Goodreads friends that have read this. This sounds really good. This is not really gonna be like I'm not gonna like go through the description for each of these books because also that would be an insanely long video, but this one sounds pretty good. So has anyone else read this one? I'm gonna add it to my TBR. It sounds really good. And also, especially with a novella, because like I said, I just got done reading a 1,900 page book. I need something shorter and quicker. So this might get bumped up. Okay. Next up we have In the Unlikely Event by Rebecca Yarros. I'm not going to look every single one of these up and read the description. However, because I have heard of this one before, and one of my TikTok mutuals, which like I'm not really on TikTok anymore, is a big fan of Rebecca Yarros' other books. Like I know now Fourth Wing is one of them, like one of her most recent releases, but this one and like The Last Letter or something, she like is like ride or die for. I'm gonna go ahead and see how I like one of her other books that I'm currently reading, and then maybe we'll give this one a go. I think this one is though like a romance. And then, you know, while we're at it, it's not next to each other on the list, but while we're at it, let's go ahead and throw in Fourth Wing because I did get Fourth Wing a couple of times. Let me just move that just slightly. So here's the thing, actually, I am currently reading that one. I am on chapter 9 because I am buddy reading it with one of my friends. We buddy read a book together mostly like every month. We do like a little book club because we've never read a fantasy romance together, and I'm really hoping that she's liking it. We're actually supposed to be meeting the day that this video goes up, so we will see. I'm really enjoying it though so far, and yeah, I guess I will keep you guys posted, or you'll see, I guess, in my wrap up. Probably we're not going to finish it by the end of September, but I guess check back in October when I finish it. Next up, I have Brutal Obsession by S. Mastery. So I have been seeing this book everywhere lately, like everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. It's blown up, and I actually had this one on my TBR for a while, and I was very interested, especially after I heard that the hero literally breaks the heroine's leg and then it's supposed to still be their romance. I was like, what is this? That sounds like a Chantel Tessier book to me. And I'm like, you know what? I need it. I need this absolute insanity. However, I think it was Tori was reading it at one point, and then she like read something in it, and then she like told me about it, and I was like, because like I think she DNF'd it, and then I was like, I don't really know. So do I need to give this one a go, guys? Let me know. Like, is it actually worth it? Because I did end up taking it off my TBR, and I know it's another thick boy too. So just let me know if I really need to check this one out. And then I also got Devious Obsession by S. Mastery, and this is the second book in that series. I know nothing about this one whatsoever. Like, I don't know if it's another bully one or whatever, or if maybe it's like he breaks her arm instead of breaks her leg. Like, I don't know. So we'll see. If I do end up reading it, I would definitely read Brutal Obsession first, because y'all know how I am with reading orders. Even though they're like interconnected, I just always I gotta stick with the reading order. I'm such a sucker about that, which like then puts me off of finishing so many series, because I like want to read like the third book in it, but then I'm like, oh, I need to read 1 and 2. No, you don't. So, but I probably will. Next up, then I just got Rena Kent's books, which I have read some of Rena Kent's books. I've read some of the Royal Elite series, and I really loved those. I loved I think it's Aiden and Elsa. They have the first 3 books in that series, and I really loved those. I enjoyed them a lot back when I read them, and I still have, I think Black Knight is the 4th one. I still have that one on my TBR. I'd still like to finish that series at some point. And then there are some other of her books that I feel like you guys recommend to me a lot. Like I think is it like God of Wrath or something is her newest one, and I definitely have that on my TBR. I plan to read them at some point. It's just, you know, whenever I feel like getting around to them. But I know there's so many like huge Rena Kent fans, which like I agree, because I really liked her writing. I liked what I've seen from her so far, and I hope to read more from her. I just haven't yet, but if you have specific Rena Kent books that I need to like start with and read, please let me know which ones I should jump into next, because I'm not like set on like I need to finish Royal Elite before I jump into some of her other series, because like Aiden and Elsa's story is obviously like tied up in those first 3 that I read, so I'm like satisfied enough with them. So let me know what Rena Kent book I need to check out next. Okay, then I got the Perfectly Imperfect series, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to pronounce this name right, but I think it's Neva Altaj, which I do have on my TBR. It's been on my TBR for a while. It's a mafia romance, and I've just been itching for like a good mafia romance. I feel like I used to read a ton, and then I just got kind of tired of like how they kind of started to all feel the same. Like the only ones in my head that feel like really, really different from all the other ones are Cora Riley's, because those feel like Godfather, like old school Italian mafia, you know? And I felt like a lot of the other ones that I was reading, they all kind of felt the same. So I haven't read this, but I do have it on my TBR. I've heard really good things. I think is it Avery that really loves these from Ava Romance Reads? I think she really liked these a lot. It's a trope that I love so much, but I truly like, I'm picky with it. I am picky with it. It's kind of like I'm picky with that. I'm picky with Student Teacher. There are certain tropes that because they're like my favorites, I know what I want out of them. I'll read it eventually. We have The Auction by Love's Big Cut 8. So I have actually had this downloaded on my Kindle since I read Manacled last year. So this is a Hermione fan fiction. And I mean, as we were just talking about Secrets and Masks. So here's the thing. The Auction, I will not read right now because I need to digest Secrets and Masks. But I do want to read The Auction soon. This is one of my friends she's one of my friends of my friends. And she and I, like, we talk about books here and there, and she loves Hermione fan fiction. So like we've talked about that. We've bonded over that a little bit. And she was like, have you read The Auction yet? Back when we first started talking about it. And I was like, no. And she was like, dude, you need to drop what you're doing and read it. And I was like, I know I do. I know. They're just so big. And here's the thing. I know that I'm going to love this. But again, I think this is one that you're supposed to read like another one before it. But she didn't, because the first one is like a little lighter and fluffier. And that is my thing with like fan fiction in general. And especially like Hermione. I don't care about the light and fluffy ones. I know so many people love them. I know there's another one by Senlin Yu, the All You Want one. I have that one downloaded. But again, like, I don't know if I really want that. What I love about Manacled and Secrets and Masks is that they are like the truest of enemies, and they truly only have each other in this war to like support and love and be together. And I just love the enemies to lovers of them. I don't really want the light fluffy ones, and I know that this is not a light fluffy one, so it's definitely on my TBR. I will definitely read it eventually, but I just need a little Secrets and Masks breather. Next up, The Naked Fisherman Duet by Julie Ann. Again, another one that I've had on my radar. So far, I've read one other Julie Ann book, and I did really like it. That was A Place Without You. So I like her writing. I feel like I would like this duet. I know it's one of Cheyenne's absolute favorites, and she's told me to read it multiple times already. And I haven't quite been in the mood for it. So I think it's an amnesia romance. And I know that the guy's name is literally Fisherman. And I was like, his name is Fisherman? Like, okay, pop off, sir. So, you know, the intrigue is there, but also y'all just know that this is not like probably like my typical book that I would usually pick up. You know, it seems like it's going to be a little bit on the like lighter, more contemporary side. That's not really as much what I read, so I really need to be like in the mood for it, but I'll check it out eventually. Don't take a shot every time I say that, because how many times have I said I'm gonna check it out eventually? But here's one that I won't check out. I'm so sorry to this person. No shade, no tea, absolutely nothing, because I know so many people love this book. I mean, I think it's like a New York Times bestseller. Happy Place by Emily Henry. So there are so many Emily Henry stans. So happy for you all that you love her books. I do like the bright colors of her covers. I don't like the animations at all on them, but I think they're like pleasant to look at. I will never read an Emily Henry book. I have no desire. I don't read like traditionally published romance, like really at all, unless if they're typically like indie authors that then got picked up by traditional publishers. Like Emily Henry just, like nothing about her books really like scream my taste. And like, I think if you guys know, you know that like it just is, I just don't think I'm gonna like them. And there are too many books out there to read that I don't want to spend my time reading books that I don't think I'll like. Next up, so I got the Coven.
Girl, why did you say it like that? It is Coven. Please don't come at me.
Twice by Harper L. Woods. And I've never heard of this. Oh, I've seen this cover before. Oh, is this a fantasy? Oh, it's a pen name for Adelaide Forrest, which I recognize that name. I've never read any of her books, but it's a fantasy romance pen name for her. Okay, do I need to check this out? Oh, I see Monica's read it. What did Monica give it? Oh, 4 stars. And the fact that 2 of you recommended it to me. I am intrigued by the cover. We'll mark it. We'll see. Next up, I got this one so many fucking times. And so Binding 13 and Keeping 13, I don't know which one goes first. I'll like Google whichever the first one is and put that one up here. But the Boys of Tommen series. So I got like Binding 13, Keeping 13, and Boys of Tommen in there so many times. I was scrolling through all the responses. I know so many of you want me to read these books. I know my friends love these books. I know they got picked up. Like people love these books. And I know there's a read along going on, which I'm not gonna try to catch up with, because I don't want to try to force myself to read them when I like don't need to be. But I am intrigued by them. My biggest hesitation with them is, one, they're huge, but I mean, like I said, I literally just finished a book like longer than the Bible. So like, actually, how long is the Bible? How many pages is the Bible? 1,500 pages. I just read a book longer than the Bible. Wow, good for me. Okay, we're back. My brother and sister-in-law just called me because they were shopping and gonna already be thinking about Christmas presents for our parents. So anyways, okay, I was talking about Boys of Tommen. So my biggest hesitation with it is it's just long, and secondly, they're very young in it. I think they're like 15, and that just makes me like, I don't know. Not that I'm like, oh, I don't want to read about like 15-year-olds falling in love. Like, you know how some people are like, they don't want to read like about like high schoolers and like romance, whatever. That's not it for me. It's more like, I just sometimes have an issue with like the believability of some of that. So I don't know. We will see. I'm not saying no to it. I do have the first book on my Kindle. I think at some point I can see myself giving this series a go. But again, I'm also kind of scared of not liking it just because so many people like it. I fully thought that this was plier, and I don't think that that's how you pronounce it. I think it's pronounced like plie. I think it's like ballet, because I was like, I don't know what this book is. I've never heard of it before. And then I had to look it up on Goodreads, which now I forget the author, and it wasn't with the thing, Jane Washington. So I was like, I don't know about that. Like I haven't like seen this before. However, it is an Omegaverse reverse harem dancer romance. And in the description, it said the Hunger Games collides with America's Got Talent, and you've just been invited to binge it all in high definition, but here's some viewer discretion before you continue, and it like lists triggers. It sounds like such a vibe. I am like pretty intrigued by this book, so I'm definitely gonna keep this one on my radar. Then I got The Inheritance Games. Oh, I'm forgetting the author now. I don't know, but I'll insert the picture. And this is, I know it's a YA series, and actually this one has been on my radar because I think it's kind of similar to Knives Out, and I know my friend Amanda was the one who put this in here, and she really loved it and was like talking about it on her stories as she was reading it, and I definitely would like to. I just don't read a ton of YA books anymore. I'm not saying no that I'll never read this. I just think like I'm really gonna have to be in the mood for it. But I do really like the whole like whodunit kind of aspect. Or no, I don't think it's a whodunit, but I think like a rich guy dies and then he leaves his fortune to the heroine, and like all of his family is like, what the hell? So I'm intrigued by it because I really love Knives Out. Y'all know. Next up, these Violent Delights. So I don't know which Violent Delights they're talking about because the two that I'm aware of, there's one I think is Chloe Gong. Is that who has, it's like a fantasy book, right? And then Jessica Hawkins, which I'm gonna go with the Jessica Hawkins one for this because that's what I'm assuming since I'm like a romance reader. I'm assuming that that's what they're talking about, which if that is the case, yes, I have this on my TBR. I actually have the full trilogy in paperback and I definitely want to read this at some time. It's a cartel romance and she is married to like the leader of the cartel or something, and I think it's like a marriage of convenience or an arranged marriage or something like that, and like enemies to lovers. I definitely want to read this series at some point. It's been on my radar for a long time. I've read one other Jessica Hawkins book and I was like frustrated by it, but I was really intrigued by it and I liked the writing, so I think I'm really gonna like this whenever I do give it a go. Then I got the Torment Duet by Dylan Page. I 1000% want to read this. This is actually really high on my priority list. I did recently put the first book at the top of my TBR in one of the past months. I definitely want to check out this duet. I have heard nothing but amazing things. I've heard nothing but like soul crushing things about it, that it's like very dark, very messed up, very hard to read, very heartbreaking, but obviously like it's a romance, so HEA at the end. I definitely want to read this, and I think even like you guys will know that out of all these books on this list, I feel like this is one where it's like, oh shit, like she's probably really gonna like that one, so excited for that. Then I got Downfall by Evelyn, what was it? Evelyn Sola. Okay, again, another one that I haven't heard of before. Okay, I'm liking the cover because it's a dude. I feel like whenever I see a dude, probably gonna be good. Oh, and it's Boss Employee. Oh, fun. Immediately want to read. Oh, I love a good Boss Employee moment. Okay, add to the list. Then I got Hawk twice, one of them by Cheyenne and one of by one of you guys, so Hawk by Jessie Hall. For sure, I'm gonna read this. I loved That Sick Love. Like, honestly, That Sick Love is a contender for my top 10 books at the end of the year. I was just blown away by that book. Jessie Hall's writing was absolutely incredible. Those two characters were so good, and not a single moment of that book was wasted. Like, it's a thick book, and not a single moment of it felt like it wasn't important or being dragged out or whatever. It was just amazing. I loved that book. I do think I'll really like this one, and it was one of the special editions from the BookTube box with Dark and Quirky, so, and that cover makes me want to read it even more. Next, King of Carnage by R.E. Bond. Again, another one that I haven't heard of before. Ooh, this sounds good. Dark MFM. Oh my gosh, I love an MFM. And it sounds like it has race car drivers in it. Oh, okay. Oh, it's a second generation, but can be read as a standalone. That sounds amazing. Also, this cover is hot. Oh, I'm excited about that one. Thank you to whoever recommended that. That sounds really, really fucking good. Next, I got Hard Limits by Suki Williams, and actually this is one that I was like, oh, I don't know that one, and then I looked it up and I actually already have it on my TBR, and it sounds really good. So I'm gonna keep that one on the TBR and we'll see when I get to it. Next, we have Untouchable by Siobhan Davis. So I have heard of this one before, and it's one that I think back when like I heard someone talking about it, I was like, oh, I don't know, like maybe. But have I read a Siobhan Davis book before? I want to say yes, but also now I'm like questioning that. Did I DNF one of her books? What was the one that Smut Club did back in February? Oh, I did. Dirty Crazy Bad. Next, okay, Serve by C.W. Farnsworth. So this one in particular, I hadn't really like known anything about. However, C.W. Farnsworth is an author that I have on my radar that I've been wanting to try something from. Specifically I think it's like Fake Empire. It's like her billionaire romance, but like they're both billionaires, which like I love. I want to see the heroine also being a billionaire when it's always the hero. But this one, I'll put it on my radar because I am curious about that author and one that I think I'll enjoy. Next, I got Butcher and the Blackbird. I love this cover. This is a fun cover, and I've been seeing this around everywhere. People have been really liking it, really hyping it up. I think especially for like spooky season. I think it's a serial killer, and I think there's like accidental cannibalism in it, but it's also somehow like funny. I don't know. Here's my problem is that whenever everyone is like, you need to read this book, not just at me, but like yelling into the void too, but also when people directly tell me like, you need to read this book, which is funny that I'm about to say this when I literally asked you to tell me what I need to read. But then that's the more that I don't want to do it. And that's kind of how I feel with this book right now, is like everyone is talking about it and everyone is like, oh my gosh, it's so good. So that makes me be like, I don't really feel like it. So I don't know. I'm going to keep it on the radar, especially over the fall and the spooky season, but we will see. It is a beautiful cover. Next up I have Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Yes, this one I've already had on my radar. It is one that I will eventually read. I've really, really enjoyed the other Kennedy Ryan books that I've read. And like Long Shot was one of my favorite books that I read back in 2021. It was on my top 10. Block Shot last year. Oh, loved that. So I will definitely read Before I Let Go at some point. I'm not the biggest Marriage in Trouble fan. It's not one that I like avoid like Secret Baby, but it's not one that I also like seek out. You know, it's not like when I'm looking for like stalker or student teacher or taboo, you know? It's not one of those tropes either. So it's just not one that's been like at the tippity top, but I know so many people love it and I know it's like a really beautiful story. So at some point, I'd say that I will get around to that one. Next up, I was like, I don't think I've heard of this one, Shattered Hearts by Shea Ruby, but I actually have, and I recognize this cover. And I really fucking like this cover, and I think this sounds really, really good. So I didn't mark it on my TBR like back when I had first heard of it, but I'm marking it now because that does sound amazing. Next I got The Best Kept Secrets Duet by Candy Steiner. So this one, this is not, I feel like, a Candy book that I hear like a ton about. I mean, I've definitely heard of it before. It's definitely like been talked about, like I've seen it talked about in videos, but I feel like not as much as some of her other books. I think I would read it at some point. I'd say it's not one that's at like the tippity top of my radar. Honestly, I just kind of feel like I shot myself in the foot by reading A Love Letter to Whiskey first, because that book is just something so utterly devastating and special. And now I feel like it's not fair that I constantly compare every other Candy Steiner book that I read to that one, but I think because that's my favorite, that then I like just always am comparing it to that one. So I think at some point I'll read this duet. There are definitely a ton of books by Candy Steiner I want to read. Probably next up that I will prioritize is Blindside, but I am intrigued by this duet, so definitely keeping it on my radar. Next up, For the Fans by Nyla K. So have I read 2 or 3 Nyla K books before, and I have not really connected with any of them. So honestly, I don't know if I will read For the Fans. I know so many people have really enjoyed it. Like even Nikki, like she loved it. And we were kind of on the same page about one of her other books that we had read together for our Out of Bounds last year, where like we both weren't really like totally sold on it. But she ended up really liking this one. But I don't know, I think the premise sounds fun. I mean, stepbrothers, OnlyFans, like that kind of, it sounds like a crazy wild time, but I just don't know. Her books are also very long too, so especially with me not being like already having like other ones that I loved of hers, I don't know. If I do read another one by hers, honestly, I think it might be Push. Next we have Bared Betrayal by Bella J. I don't think I've heard of this one, but okay, we got another man cover. See, at least y'all, when y'all recommend it, you know. The second I see an animated cover, I'm dipping, but you guys have been giving me all the men covers. Future Father-in-Law. Done. Instant ad, because the very first 2 things on this, my secret has a name, Gabriel King, and he's my future father-in-law. Sir, thank you to whoever recommended me that. That sounds phenom. Okay, next up, another one that I haven't heard of. Then You Came by, what was it, Lauren Ashley, a Forbidden Age Gap romance. Oh, say less. Oh, and it only has 39 rate. Ooh, so is it like a newer book? I'm intrigued by this one. I feel like the blurb gives kind of bare bones, but I'm wondering then, like, what is that hiding? Like, what is underneath the surface of that? Well, mark it. That sounds good. Impact by Nikki Markham, another one that I am not familiar with. So let's go ahead. Oh, is this FF? Shut up. Is this Sapphic? As soon as I saw Sapphic, I knew I was adding it. Okay, sold. Next, okay, another one. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, which I talk with Zay about this author all the time because she loves her. And Zay loves this book. So I don't know. I don't think she was the one who recommended it to me though on here. But anyways, with this, I always want to say that her name is Hannah Bonham Carter, like Helena Bonham Young. Wait, I always want to say Helena Bonham Young. You know the Bellatrix actress from Harry Potter. I always want to call this author that name and it's never right, but anyways, this book, I don't know. Again, I'm worried about reading another popular book that so many people love and not liking it, and also because this just like it doesn't really seem to fit like my usual taste in books. Not that that's a bad thing by any means, because it's good to like branch out, but I just don't really know if I'd like it. And I think Say's even told me that she's like, I don't really know if you'd like it. So I don't know. I will definitely keep it on the radar, but we will see if I read it. Okay, and you know what? I'm actually not going to include any of the ones that I have already read, except for this one, just because it kind of made me laugh a little bit. And that is, I got the Gabriels Inferno series by Sylvan Reynard. Absolutely no shade, no tea to this person whatsoever. It's just that if you have been around on my channel for a while, you know, I loathe these books. I just thought it was funny when I saw it come through, because it should be something that I like. A billionaire student teacher, like it should be something that I like. Oh, I hated those books. I hated them. So I just thought that I had to like include that there just because it kind of made me laugh a little bit. Okay, then I got the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. Is this like this isn't a romance, is it? Oh, okay, no, it's a thriller. Oh, that sounds good. I have been reading a few more thrillers recently just because I've been in a pretty big slump this year, so I've been trying to like jumpstart things. So you know what, I'll keep this one on my radar for when I'm back in the mood for a thriller. Then I have The Choice by Ashley Jade. And this one I do definitely want to read. I just don't want to read it until The Consequence is out. And that is not me being like, Ashley Jade, when are you releasing it? Because people are like honestly ridiculous with her and like harassing her of when she's releasing it, and the fact that she's taking time with it. Authors are people too, and they do not owe you their books just because they published one and they haven't finished yet. Like, they don't owe you anything. She could never publish the second book, and like that is her prerogative. So I am not saying like when I'm like, I won't read it until The Consequence comes out, that I'm like, publish that book, Ashley. No, you take all the time you need, Ashley. But with that said, I don't want to have to wait for the second book. So I will wait to read this until the second book is released, whenever that may be. But I just want to be able to read them like back to back. So I will definitely read this. I love Ashley Jade's books, but I am just holding out. Next up, I got the All for the Game series by Nora Sakovic. I don't know. I don't think I'm saying that right. But anyways, so I have seen this cover on, I think I've seen it around on TikTok more so, because I'm pretty sure I want to say that it's a YA series, which once again, I just don't really read a ton of anymore. I just really have to be in the right mood for it. So honestly, I don't know if I'll ever read this one, but I guess let me know in the comments if this is one that like I really need to give a go and like it's worth it, you know? And then last up, we have Here With Me by Brooke Montgomery. So I recognize this. I don't think so. I'm so glad that Small Town is having its moment for the small town romance lovers. I don't like Small Town. It is a trope that I actively avoid, and honestly, Heartless by Elsie Silver is my one and only exception. I don't like Small Town, and this one is one with, I know it's an ex-boyfriend's dad one, right? Because when I saw that, I was like, do I need to actually give this one a go? But no, I don't think so, because it is Southern Small Town. I just can't do it. I'm so glad that people are enjoying it. I think this cover is really beautiful. I think the book sounds like, oh, I don't want actually that like reflection being off in the background. It's just not one that I think I would like. I mean, maybe if I could get over the small town thing, but y'all know, it's just like, I really don't vibe with small town. So anyways, that is it for today's video. On Friday, what did I have? I have my videos mapped out. Oh, I think was I gonna do standalones on Kindle Unlimited that you need to read, because I just did series and y'all did say, yes. That's what I'm going to do on Friday. And then next Tuesday, I think I'm going to have my September chat chill and get ready with me. And then it's already TBR and wrap up time. And then we're heading into October, which is a month that I am very, 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 very excited for. We got some fun stuff coming, y'all. I'm going to have a really fun video in October going up that I'm very excited for. So anyways, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys for all the recommendations and let me know what I need to prioritize. That's it for today, and I will see you when I see ya.